What if the same tools that are used to manipulate populations, to seduce and control others, could also be used to free ourselves from that very manipulation? You must understand that we live in a world built upon suggestion. It is not a place built upon truth or logic, but rather a world built upon belief systems, repetition of dogma and propaganda, and well-placed words that are used as sorcery, like literal sorcery and spell casting. Since childhood, our minds are programmed through sacred taboos, political lies and propaganda, societal scripts, even family commands, and all of this language, all of these beliefs, all of this energy seeps into the subconscious mind where it forms structures that crystallize. And as we grow older and continue to develop, even though we lose awareness of these structures in our subconscious mind, they are still influencing us consciously, right? From that very early age, we are told what to think, who to be, and most importantly, what not to question. But what if there was a way to rewrite this program, to hack the matrix, to hack into the mind? Lucifer is the light bringer, the light bearer, and he's not just a rebellious spirit of myth, he is the archetype of mental liberation. Just as Satan is the adversary, Lucifer too is an adversary of imposed truth. He is the master of language, as well as thought and perception. So Lucifer very much ties into all of this psychology and manipulation. Now, Luciferian dark psychology, it's not necessarily like an evil thing where we're using fear to manipulate others out of cruelty. It's more about studying manipulation, understanding it. And yes, weaponizing it, but not necessarily to hurt others, but to help ourselves. So it's about building up yourself, gaining power through developing yourself rather than gaining power through tearing down others. But unfortunately, we live in a world where it's very cutthroat. It's very much a jungle, kind of dog eat dog. So we must be aware of this manipulation, how to counter it, and how to make it work for ourselves. So in this video, I'm going to be going beyond the kind of surface level tricks of persuasion to look at the dark mirror of the psyche that leads to the throne of power within the self. We're going to learn how to become the architect of our own mind as well as the mind of others. But again, not for controlling them or to be cruel or evil, but simply for power. The Luciferian seeks power through illumination, the elevation of the self. Hello, brothers and sisters of the left-hand path. Welcome back to Pluto Sophia. I am Dr. Murphy. I am the founder and infernal hierophant of Pluto Sophia. Thank you for joining me here today. If you would like to support us, the easiest way to do that is through liking this video and subscribing. We are also on X at Pluto Sophia, and you can learn more about who we are, what we're doing, what our mission is, and also find ways to support us, and also learn about some of the services that we offer by visiting our website at plutosophia.com. Okay, let us continue with today's video. And by the way, today is Friday, April 4th, 2025. Let us come to know the mind of the morning star. Before religion, there was myth. And before that myth had a chance to become morality, it functioned as a mirror of the human psyche. Lucifer's story is not one of sin, but rather it is a story of sovereignty, personal sovereignty. The ancient esoteric traditions speak of Lucifer not merely as the devil of Sunday school nightmares, but rather as an archetypal rebel of reason. And of course, that bearer of light, the morning star. Light is associated with knowledge, wisdom, and illumination. Lucifer was the first to declare, I will not serve. And this is why he chose his path out of the celestial order. He chose his own descension from the heavens to come down to earth to forge the left-hand path. If we look closer at this fall of Lucifer, what is it that he actually brought with him from heaven? It is not fire, it is not blood. Instead, what Lucifer brought is knowledge, language, thought, communication. Lucifer is very much the Prometheus archetype. So just as I had mentioned that light is a symbol of knowledge and wisdom, even forbidden knowledge, so too is that fire that Prometheus shared. It is a symbol of that forbidden knowledge, that occult knowledge. Lucifer is one of the aspects of that serpent in the Garden of Eden, that serpent that whispered to Eve that you shall not surely die, that you are divinity yourself. Lucifer came to teach the human mortals to name the stars, to bend their will, and yes, to even question the gods themselves. Within the right-hand path, they view Lucifer as representing disobedience. In the left-hand path, we view Lucifer as symbolizing awareness. Instead of a symbol for temptation, we view him as a symbol of choice, and instead of damnation, we see Lucifer as representing liberation. Luciferian dark psychology is not deception for its own sake. It is about wielding tools of influence, dismantling illusions that enslave us, and then creating new illusions that serve us in our ascension. Lucifer does not ask for worship, but he does demand that we think freely and fearlessly. And this free and fearless thinking is the first act of magic and the final act of rebellion. So just what is Luciferian dark psychology? It is the application of psychological principles, especially hidden primal taboo aspects of the psyche, through the lens of Luciferian philosophy. It is a system of inner and outer mastery in the pursuit of autonomy, power, and illumination. Unlike the shallow manipulations of pop psychology, this is not teaching us to become the slick salesman or emotional puppeteer. Rather, what it is teaching us is how to better understand the architecture of belief, the wiring of fear, the mechanisms of desire, and how to consciously wield these things for our benefit. Luciferian dark psychology, it draws from the black flame of insight that Lucifer represents. Lucifer is the personification of consciousness unbound. Satan is the adversary, but so too is Lucifer an adversarial spirit. And in truth, all of the demons who are these fallen dark angels, they are all adversarial forces. Lucifer is teaching us to tear down false idols and to challenge that dogma and the doctrines and the narratives that are imposed upon us. Lucifer lights that inner fire of apotheosis, self-deification. So Luciferian dark psychology is a system for reclaiming control of the mind and also understanding the forces that influence it. It is about developing psychological resilience, mastering the art of persuasion and influence. It offers a magical lens into the nature of thought itself, including language and communication. It is a path empowering the individual, developing their own mind and leading them to constructing their own temple, where they are sovereign master. Luciferian dark psychology is not mindless manipulation or exploitation for thrill of the ego, nor is it a license for cruelty. It is the study of power, but not its abuse. And most certainly, Luciferian dark psychology is not just right-hand path psychology with a pentagram slapped upon it. It asks why we think what we think. Who programmed us? Where did we get our morality from? Why do we fear what we do? Why do we value what we value? Luciferian dark psychology teaches us how to deconstruct these things and become the master of our inner dialogue. It teaches us how to influence others, but not to enslave them, but rather to test and wield our own evolving power. It is rebellion of the mind over myth, the art of speaking with fire, the science of rewriting reality. Right? Metaphysics, metaphysical science, one thought, one word, one spell at a time. I think to really understand what Luciferian dark psychology is, it helps, well, it's necessary to know language. And what I mean is to know really what language is and what its function is. Language is sorcery. It is spell casting, like quite literally. So imagine this. Imagine a child born into the world as a blank slate, as we essentially all are. We come into this place, this matrix, this reality, simulation, whatever the hell this place is, with no opinions, no politics, no religion, no gods, no guilt, no shame. The only thing we come here with is instinct and sensation. Slowly, that child will develop language. And as that language is developed, a worldview is installed, just like software being installed onto the hardware of a computer. Language, this is magic. It is spellcasting. Language is not just words. Words have meanings, and these meanings are connected with beliefs, and these beliefs impose limitations. We are told what is good and what is evil, what is real and what is unreal. We are told what to say, how to think. We're told how to be, how to act, all through language. The first spell ever cast was done so with language. For Luciferians, language is sorcery, and the sentence is a spell. When parents say to that child, "You're not good enough," this is a curse. When society tells its population there's only one truth, this is a binding. When religion tells its congregation, demands of them obedience, tells them they must obey or else, this is enchantment. Words are symbols that are charged with psychic energy. And this psychic energy, psychic thought energy, bypasses the conscious mind and sinks deep, deep, deep into the subconscious mind, crystallizing there, forming structures like sigils that shape our thoughts, our behaviors, and ultimately our destinies. The twist, though, is that the spell can be reversed. Speak with Luciferian fire, not to echo the world's programming, but to rewrite it. Use words like swords, torches, use them as keys to unlock doors. Language is sorcery, but we can use it too. And so the Luciferian is very much the linguistic alchemist, transmuting passive thought into empowered expression. Even a whisper is a weapon, a phrase is a ritual, a new name is invoking a new self. The tongue is the wand of the sorcerer. The mind is the altar. The word is the ritual of transformation. All right, let's take a look at some of the tools of Luciferian dark psychology. So we're no longer going to be just covering the theory, but we're going to look at some of the actual practice used for reshaping thought. Luciferian dark psychology is about manipulating energy, and that is thought included, as thought within metaphysics is viewed as psychic thought energy. And in Hermeticism, all is energy, all is mind, all is thought. So in putting this into practice, it's about manipulating this thought, transforming this energy for influencing the self, influencing others. But ultimately, it's about personal liberation. So language is sorcery. With linguistic sorcery, words are not passive. They are programmable. Luciferians, in utilizing something like dark psychology, will utilize any method really that works, from NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, to hypnosis, even to ceremonial magic. Anything that helps to reshape the internal and or external dialogue. Remember, all of these things are just tools, whether it's alchemy or magic or hypnosis or psychology. They are all just tools, and what we are really interested in as dark mystics of the left-hand path is the end result. What works, we stick with and continue to use it, and we discard all else. Something as simple as self-talk and affirmations, right? This is ritual. Saying something as simple as, I am the fire, I am the will, I am the way. I am is a very strong programming language. How we frame things can also increase or decrease our power, right? Just changing how something is said changes what it becomes. Of course, repetition with affirmations, right? These things are repeated in spellcraft, right? It's about repetition. Even with something like a lie, if you say it enough times, it becomes truth. If you say your truth enough times, it becomes reality. As you speak, so you become. Mirroring and projection is another tool utilized in Luciferian dark psychology. Lucifer is a mirror. Lucifer is the light. He is also a reflector of that light. He is also a defier of that light. And so is the mind within Luciferian psychology. It is a mirroring tool of influence and shadow work. If you want to control someone, mirror their language, copy their posture, mimic their values. If you want to understand someone, observe what they project onto others. If someone is constantly projecting, if someone is constantly gossiping that they don't trust this person or that person, perhaps this is projection on their part. Perhaps we can know that they are someone that we should not trust. If you want to master yourself, notice what you reject in others, because this is your shadow. The enemy you hate is the self you deny. Silence is golden. There is grand power in silence and presence. In a world that screams to be heard everywhere, all the time, silence is a throne of power. Real influence, real power is not always loud. Sometimes it is still. And think about it. If one truly has power, like true power over others, do they need to raise their voice? Do they need to yell? Do they need to beg for attention? Certainly not. Pause before speaking. When you pause before you speak, this creates an atmosphere of tension with others, and it will lend more control to you as the speaker. Refuse to react. Sometimes just outright refuse to act at all. This is a very profound method for immediately breaking attempts at manipulation upon you. Simple presence asserts psychic dominance, and others will feel this even though they're not sure why. Those who control silence control the room. So truly meditate upon the maxim that silence is golden. There is tremendous power in silence. And it's quite contrarian, isn't it? That when seeking more influence, control, and power over others, most would think you need more speaking, a louder voice. It's quite the opposite. It's about being more still, being more silent. And this goes in line with what the left-hand path is. It is the contrarian path. So of course this works. Of course rebellion has its place within the left-hand path, but you must be smart about it, right? You must practice strategic rebellion. Lucifer, of course, is the rebel, just as is Satan and the other fallen angels, the other demons. They are all rebels. The left-hand path is all about rebellion, being contrarian. But Lucifer did not rebel blindly. He rebelled strategically. He was not kicked out of the celestial realm. It wasn't a mistake. It was strategically planned of his own free will. So Lucifer teaches us to question authority, but not in a chaotic manner, but with clarity. Cognitive dissonance is a concept in psychology where our thoughts or our beliefs do not match up with our behaviors. And it's an extremely uncomfortable state of mind. And whenever it occurs in an individual, that individual will do whatever it takes to get rid of it. When you have cognitive dissonance, right, so the behavior and the belief, they don't match up. So the only way to get rid of that cognitive dissonance, because it will never go away unless you change something, is either to change the behavior or to change the thought. So, for example, let's say that somebody they love eating fast food, junk food. Now, their belief about this is that it's unhealthy. It's actually can be quite dangerous if you eat it a lot. So they shouldn't be eating it. That's their thought. That's their belief system. However, their behavior is that they continue to eat it. Now, this is going to be very stressful for the individual. Someone in this situation has two options if they want to get rid of this cognitive dissonance. They can either stop eating the fast food, stop eating the junk food. Then the cognitive dissonance will go away because they believe it is bad for them, and now they change their behavior, so they are not eating it. Okay, so it matches up. Or they can continue eating it, but change their thoughts and their belief system, right? They can try to justify it. Okay, so yeah, maybe they say fast food is bad, but I don't eat it very often. Or, sure, I've heard fast food is bad, but those studies are inconclusive. Or it also has some benefits, you know. Or, yeah, fast food is unhealthy, but I have a lot of stress in my life, and when I eat fast food, it really helps me to relax and calm down and get rid of that stress. And really, stress is more dangerous than junk food, right? You see what I mean? Like, they'll do anything to get rid of this cognitive dissonance. Now, within Luciferian dark psychology, we can use that cognitive dissonance as a weapon. If we want to, right, if we're arguing with somebody, it could be about anything, and we know that the other side has weak beliefs, we can collapse their belief system by introducing conflicting ideas to them, right? Create a state of cognitive dissonance within that person that we are arguing with, whom we are arguing with. For example, if you want to wake people up from programming, these people are very obedient to the system that is manipulating them, for example, right? So we see this a lot. You can reframe their obedience as self-betrayal, right? They are betraying themselves. This could help to perhaps wake them up from the programming. If you disrupt their comfort zone, you can help to unlock their awareness. To destroy a lie, become its contradiction. Another tool is actually that of the shadow and learning to master it. And this is perhaps the most important tool. And of course, it continues to fall in line with the left-hand path in being contrarian, being rebellious, and embracing the shadow self. So that shadow self, it is those aspects of us that are suppressed and repressed, that are taboo, really the parts that are demonized by our society and culture, perhaps some religion or faith, perhaps by parents and family, friends. Now, Luciferians, those within the left-hand path, do not just acknowledge this shadow, they partner with it and perform alchemy upon it. So something like guilt is transmuted alchemically into insight. Something like rage is transmuted into fuel, passion, desire, motivation, energy. Desire itself can be used for transformation. Right? If we desire something enough, that will create enough drive to force us to change ourselves. So the whole philosophy with this and working with the shadow is that you do not cast out the demon. You make it your daemon. D-A-E-M-O-N. Daemon. Now remember, all of these tools, they're not just about external influence. They're also used for internal alchemy, with each unlocking another layer of the mind's hidden potential. And through utilizing and implementing dark psychology, you are burning away everything that is false and that is not serving you, to reveal that divinity that is within us. Within esoteric circles of the left-hand path, Lucifer is a symbol of fire and light, rebellion, intellect, communication, language, justice, as well as righteous vengeance. But I want to try a kind of new, unique, and interesting perspective on Lucifer here. And I think really one that I believe is rarely, if ever, examined, and that is the biological mirror of the Luciferian archetype, and how Lucifer connects with the left hemisphere of the human brain. So the brain has a duality. In modern neuroscience, it is divided into two hemispheres. with a right brain and a left brain. And the right brain is connected with things like imagination, intuition, nonlinear perception, emotion, dreams, spiritual experiences. It's kind of our creative, artistic hemisphere, whereas the left brain is more logical and analytical, and it is also connected with language and reasoning, order, and verbal communication. So the left hemisphere is the logical mind. It is the seat of speech and strategy, as well as rational thought. And it is really what helps us to break the world into pieces, to categorize and organize our perception to understand what it is we're experiencing around us. It is the left hemisphere that classifies things and labels and names them. Now, the occult symbolism here is relating to that ability to name and define reality, which is a very real form of power in and of itself. This is the flame of awareness, the light of discernment. It alludes to the logos, the word, magic, and spellcasting, and how the voice speaks creation into being. Again, Lucifer is the master of language and intellect. He is power not through brute force, but rather think of Lucifer as the surgical blade of reason, the silver tongue, the seed of forbidden thought that is planted in the mind. When Eve bit the fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil within the Garden of Eden, this changed something very profoundly, very immediately within her. But this change was not physical. It was not of her body. It was of her brain. And after biting the fruit, she then began to question. She began to reason. She became awake to the world around her and to truth. This is symbolic of the activation of the left hemisphere and that Luciferian spark of knowledge and awareness. Within Kabbalah, the left pillar, tree of life, is the pillar of severity, connecting with discipline, discernment, opposition. And Lucifer walks this pillar, not to destroy, but rather to refine, right? That refinement of alchemy and transmutation. The Qliphoth is the shadow of the tree. And here, Lucifer symbolizes mental transgression with sharp knowledge so sharp that it actually severs the veil of illusion. The story of the fall of Lucifer is not a story about descent into evil. It is actually a story about the activation of critical consciousness. Lucifer is not the destroyer of order. He is the awakener of contrast, and without contrast, there is no awareness. Without disobedience, there's no growth, and without the blade of the left brain, there is no clarity. Luciferian dark psychology is not just metaphysical, it is actually neurological as well. To awaken the Luciferian mind is to engage the strategic self, to enhance our linguistic power, to become a mirror of the godlike forces that exists within our own mind. To think is to rebel. To name is to rule. To command your thoughts is to become your own advisor and your own savior. To the newly initiated and those seeking to be, try this tonight. So take a journal and write down every belief you have about yourself. How you view your worth, what you view your limits to be, your fears. And then, after you have written all of these things down, ask yourself, whose voice is this? Is this your voice or someone else's? These fears, these limits, these ideas of worth, were they, did you learn them from a parent? Were they spoken by a priest? Did you get them from some kind of system, religion, perhaps a god? Now, after you've done this and after you've asked these questions, take a red pen and draw a line through any of the beliefs that enslave you. And as you do so, whisper to yourself, I reject this lie. I speak only in the name of my own becoming. Then burn the page if you must, or keep it as a warning. But from this moment, know that your mind belongs to you. If every thought can be installed, and if every belief can be manipulated, if every word you speak shapes your reality, then ask yourself, is there a self at all? Or is the self merely the strongest spell you've ever dared to keep? What if the Luciferian path is not a path about finding out who you are, but choosing who you become? Now, as we end this video here, I want to leave you with the hidden key regarding all of this and Luciferian dark psychology. And this is something that is rarely spoken about aloud, but as we know, Lucifer comes from the Latin Lucifer, meaning the bringer of light, bearer of light. And light in ancient esoteric systems is associated with the logos, the word. But that word, that spoken word, right? It's not a direct translation, right? Logos, it doesn't just mean word. It means word with like belief, intention, will behind it. So it's very much tied in with magic and spell casting. And so too with Lucifer. Lucifer is not simply light. Lucifer is the word, the logos that reveals. Right, Lucifer is not just language. Lucifer is that language that liberates. Lucifer is that word, that language, that spark that speaks you into power. To speak like Lucifer is to create. To think like Lucifer is to rebel. To become Luciferian is to remember that even silence can be a weapon if you choose. You were taught to fear the serpent who whispered. Perhaps that whisper was your first true thought.